What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Steve. It's an awful day here in Ohio. I figure for 2017, since I'm already such a great person, no sarcasm whatsoever, that I should set some resolutions for the car. So I'm gonna go in, set a list for myself of what we're gonna do over the next year with the 944. So let's go take a look at the car and set some 2017 resolutions. So Salamandrin has his bowl of keys. You know what I get? Nothing. 'Cause I'm poor. No, I'm just kidding. I set my keys on the stairs. Like a classy person. Okay, so I've looked over the car. I think I have an idea of what I want to do for the next year and what can wait for another year to get some more time or figure out specifically what I'm gonna do. So I've divided this into two sections, have to and want to. Have to is going to be things that are going to get done this year. I'm not gonna put them off any longer. The things I talked about a year ago or 2 years ago that I'm going to get done this year. It's gonna happen. Want to is going to be things that I want to do, obviously, that if I get done with the things that I have to do, I can start on the. Have to is in no particular order, it's just everything that is going to get done in 2017, and want to I have in order of what I want to do most first to what might not happen that I don't really mind if it doesn't happen based on budget or time or just the amount of work that has to go into it. So there's two parts to each category. There's exterior work, things that are on the outside of the car, hence the name exterior, and interior / powertrain. That has to do with the engine, transmission, exhaust, wheels, and then the interior of the car itself. So starting off on the have to for the exterior, we're going to replace the sunroof seals, redoing the shocks on the hatch, repainting the blacks on the car, such as the trim on the mirrors and on the doors. We're gonna respray or wrap the mirrors in a vinyl coating just because they look awful. I'm gonna get a shiny new crest, brand new from Porsche, to replace the old one on the front. Maybe I'll get that restored just to keep the original crest of the car, but I would like a brand new, shiny, nice looking one. So getting a new one that actually looks good. The final thing's more of a powertrain issue, but it is sort of an exterior thing. At some point, obviously I'm going to be doing regular brake maintenance. So when I change the brakes and the rotors, I want to paint the calipers red to match the exterior of the car, so it matches the whole look of the car. The interior and the powertrain work is going to be a bit more difficult just because of what I have to do. The big thing that I want to do, this is going to take up most of the time, which is rewiring all the wires so that the headlights run off of the alternator instead of the battery. Right now, because the headlights run off the battery, whenever I have the headlights on or the AC on even, and I'm pulling up to a stoplight and it's at idle, the RPM actually drops, so there's too much power draw on the battery. So by rigging the lights onto the alternator instead of on the battery, it won't put as much of a strain on the battery so that when I'm at idle, the car won't die. So that's kind of a bonus in my book. And then there's some other routine maintenance things like replacing the ground wires, replacing all the filters. There's a lot of cracked pieces inside, like the center console trim, the main dash strip trim, the armrest hinge is broken on the cover of that. What's that called? I don't know what that's called. But the thing that you rest your arm on, that hinge is broken, so that needs replaced. And the other big project, besides the wiring harness, is going to be repairing the dash, because as is typical in a 944, the dash is cracked to hell. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that in the car or if I'll have to take the whole dash out. But at some point, all the cracks that are in the dash are getting filled and it's going to look new. So that's the stuff that I'm going to do this year. I'm going to have videos on hopefully all of them, and everything that I just said is getting done in 2017. Things now that I want to do. I don't have to do them in 2017. The first thing, and the big thing, is either doing a full respray or a vinyl wrap. This is 30-year-old paint now. It looks good for 30 years old, but I want it to look new. So I think there's two paths that I can take. I can either take it somewhere and have a professional vinyl wrap it, which would look okay, but there's two problems with that. One, that's going to be the more expensive route as far as monetary cost, and there's a lot of imperfections in the body. Paint chips, little dents, warps. So I don't necessarily know if I want to do a vinyl wrap over that, or if a place I would take it to would polish and sand all those out so it looks smooth, because I don't want all the little blemishes showing through a wrap, which is why the other option is for my dad and I to paint the car ourselves. That would be a cheaper option because we wouldn't have to pay labor costs. The only problem is that could take a long time, and there is a lot that can go wrong with that. Even if my dad and I got professional supplies, a professional paint sprayer, and quality automotive paint, we don't know what we're doing. So we don't know if we'd run into problems with the lines, the intricate lines, and the seals, if we would have to strip the interior, if we could just put paper or plastic over the windows and go with that, how that would affect the internal components like air filters in the engine and fuel if it's sitting there for a couple weeks. Plus, we're not sure if we really have the time. If we had the time to paint the car, it would have been painted already. So the expensive and professional option is to vinyl wrap the car. The cheap and potentially really dangerous option as far as the exterior is to paint the car ourselves. Other exterior things that I want to do are either polish or replace the windshield. There's a scuff on it. It's really annoying, so I want to get a new windshield that isn't pockmarked and dusty and crappy. And I have tried cleaning it. Thank you for letting me know that I haven't cleaned my windshield. I did clean it. But if there's a polisher that you know about it that would take a 30-year-old windshield and make it look new, let me know, because I'd love to get that. But replacing or repolishing the windshield somehow. Now, another thing that I want to do really badly, but my budget doesn't really allow it because it's really expensive to import these parts. A German race company called Deutsch 9 makes a lot of aftermarket parts for the 944, the 924, the 968, the 928, and they have some aesthetic pieces that I would love to put on this car. A lowered front splitter, side skirts, a nice 968 RS wing I would love to have on here. I do have a separate rear hatch, so I could have one with the original rubber lip on it and have another one with the Deutsch 9 RS wing, just so I could keep a stock look if I wanted, but if I wanted the RS wing, I could just pop off the rear hatch, put that on there. It's a bit more difficult than just taking it off and putting it on, but it's an option that I have to do. In addition to some Deutsch 9 bodywork, I'd like to get a Euro front bumper, not the turbo bumper, but just the naturally aspirated European bumper. I think that looks nicer on the front. Put that on there, make it look a bit nicer. And then to finish up the exterior, lower the suspension, sport exhaust, and replace all the seals on the car. Windows, door seals, windshield, rear hatch, everything. Just so it's new, it's not going to crack in the future, and it'll last for another 30 years. Now, as far as things I want to do with the interior, this is a big list, so I'm going to break out the list that I have written down. I want to recolor the carpeting with some black carpet paint, paint the trim in the center console and the dash guards red. The fuel sensor right now doesn't work, so I don't actually know how much gas I have left, so we should probably fix that, but that's not a necessity. I can go about 250 miles, but it would be nice to know exactly how much gas I have left. I'd like to do guards red seat belts, either buy replacement knobs for the air conditioner or 3D print them myself. I know someone who has a 3D printer, because for some reason, even just the little slider caps for the AC are about $20, and they're pieces of plastic about this big, and two of them are $20. What? So I'd like to get new ones of those because it is missing one, but I'm not paying $20, so if I have to 3D print them, I will. Next up would be redoing the gauges, putting in a stronger backlight so I can see them at night better. 7 is new speakers and a stereo module. I'd love to put in the full GPS and Apple CarPlay system, but if I'm still having electrical problems after redoing the wiring for the headlights, I don't want to put that much strain on the battery. So that is if and only if everything that has to get done gets done, and there are no more electrical problems after that. 8, and this gets into the stuff that 99% chance is not going to happen this year. 8 is to add a turbocharger to the car. 9 is to add a supercharger to the car. 10 is to swap the engine that's in there now with a refurbished 968 turbo engine. Now the 968 engine is still a 4-cylinder, but it's a 3-liter instead of a 2.5, and it ups the power from 148 to about 250, I believe, and almost doubles the torque, so it would still be a Porsche engine, but it would be a lot nicer to have the 968 engine instead of the 944 engine. Number 11 has two main issues. One, I don't know if it's possible. Two, I don't know if I want to, because it isn't a Porsche stock engine. No, I'm not doing an LS swap, but I would like to take the 2.4-liter EcoBoost engine that's in the 2015 Ford Mustang and put that in here, because dimension-wise, it should fit. Now, even though the EcoBoost motor isn't a Porsche engine, which is why I'm hesitant about it, it brings the power from 130, say, since we haven't dynoed it in the car now, to 310 horsepower, and it brings the torque from probably around 100 to 320 foot-pounds. So I don't want to put a non-Porsche engine in the Porsche, because then I think it's not a Porsche anymore, but at the same time, 320 horsepower would be phenomenal. So if it's possible to do that, and if I have the money to do that, I'd look into it, but that's a very tentative. That's why it's towards the bottom of the list. There are 3 more items I want to talk about though. Number 12 is to buy a 968 or a 928. Number 13 is to buy a 911, and number 14 is to buy a 918. There's a reason why those are on the bottom of the list, because they're not gonna happen. But if I get everything done with this car that I want to and get it running better than it was new, I think I deserve another Porsche. So if I can get everything on this list done this year, the have to and the want to, I'm buying myself another Porsche. Because if everything's done, I need another project car, right? Now there's a fallback plan that I want to talk about. This is in case the engine dies, it catches on fire, God forbid, something that makes the car basically impossible to repair, or something that just makes it not worth to repair. I'd hate to have this happen, but if something does go wrong, I have a backup plan. That is to take the 911, lower it off the lift, put the keys in, start the car, and leave the state. I'm thinking Utah, Montana, Washington State, Oregon, somewhere very far away. So I have my Porsche, it's an upgrade because it's a 911 now, and my dad won't be able to find it. So he won't be able to take his car back or have me arrested, tried as a criminal for stealing his car. But that's the fallback plan if this car is unrepairable. So there's a 0.001% chance that this happens. I'm taking that car and I'm running far away. Maybe I might even leave the country. Canadian roads are good, right? I can just take it to Canada. They won't mind that it's stolen. I just realized that is a lot of shit to do. This is gonna be a fun year. But I guess that's my list of things I have to do this year. So this will be a really interesting journey to see if I can do everything that I want to fix this car. Hopefully at the end of 2017 we'll be able to look back and everything will be done. Like the video if you liked it. Leave a comment if you have any recommendations for me, things I should do, things I shouldn't do. Subscribe if you want to see that. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.